Greg, do you still not know when we're starting after all these years?
I'm getting there. I call it progress.
How are you frazzled? You were here as early as you've ever been before.
I
We were
know.
having a pre-show meeting, and you were
Right.
just sitting in that chair for like an hour.
But he was locked in on something. He was.
Yeah. You know what? I'm doing Miami Herald work.
Tying up loose ends.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a big thing. We do our podcast, and my dad, anytime we're like, Dad, you ready to go and record? I got to tie up some loose ends first. Never know what that means.
Everybody's got loose ends.
Yep.
You know, you got to cross your T's and dot your I's.
Yep.
By the way, it would have been nice of your mother to tell me that there's apparently no school today, so I breezed down here. It usually takes me an hour and 20 minutes. I breezed down here in like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
You were here early.
I'm
bummed to hear that upset you.
Did she tell you the weather?
I did. I asked her the weather.
Right.
Guys, I'm amazed by this. Erlene is his internet and his ways, and he cannot. Did you just hear what happened? He blamed his wife for not knowing that there wasn't going to be traffic on his way to work. She doesn't drive this way.
Well, she knew, I think, that there was no school today because she keeps track of all that, even though we haven't had students in school for 12 years. But she neglected to tell me. Look, she's not perfect, you know. She's a wonderful woman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, does she have shortcomings like this morning? Of course.
Was Chris in high school at 25?
No, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He might have still been trying to
Billy,
hack
if
his way
you
through
think
college.
Chris isn't going to be the same overgrown toddler that his father is, and if you think Chris was...
I checked the weather.
I checked the weather, too. I opened the back door. And
That's how you
stick
do
my
it.
head out.
Greg.
Right.
Right.
I noticed that you got short sleeves on.
good arm
Is it a good arm week?
It's a better arm day than I was having last
arm.
week.
Wow,
day.
they look great.
Well, that's great
let's-
to hear because today is a huge day, not just for you and your improving arm health, but for our friend Stugotz. It's a massive day.
Oh, my God.
And I'm talking because I walked outside and it was clear as day.
Yeah.
It's a good whistling day.
Oh, it is.
The weather outside
Yes.
is perfect.
Yes.
Whistling weather.
Yes, it is. And a good smoking weather as well. Let me try a whistle out here. A little dry. Mouth's a little dry.
I think we need to go outdoors. I think I need we. It's
Well, I'll
big-
have a heater too, so that'll be nice.
I think we
Izzy taught me. Hold on. You hear it?
not bad.
Barely.
From the throat.
Lick your lips.
From the bottom, he said.
What did he say?
Izzy said from the bottom.
Baby!
I think that's AO now.
Oh.
Is it not AO?
Wait, there it is.
All right.
Holy shit, what a giant day. One of the biggest days in show history. I can't believe the celebration we're about to unleash upon America.
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. We came for one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the boys. Man so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls, let it tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
Imagine my surprise and delight to see that this day has arrived.
Amazing.
Stugotz is an author.
Yeah.
And Stugotz,
A best-selling author.
Before you.
he is an author before me That was very aggressive the way you did that to me, Roy. It was a day to celebrate Stugotz, and you immediately came after me. You come into the show 3 seconds before it starts. You come in and you point a finger at me. I'm trying to celebrate Stugotz on his big day, and all you do is throw in my face that he's an author before I am.
No, I'm angry about this, Dan. Like, you need to write a book. Legitimately need to write a book. That needs to be a goal of yours before your career ends, is to get this book out here. But congratulations, Stugotz.
Thank you, Roy.
Okay, not about me. Not about me today. It's about Stugotz, because we've arrived at the day. And Roy, I appreciate it. Please,
He's right.
Please help me build the company so I have time to write a book.
You got it, Dan. You don't need to write a book, Dan. You're on the air 4 hours every day. What else do you have to say?
Seriously.
I mean, you've written enough forwards at this point. It could be a book.
Right. If you need me to ghostwrite the book for you, Dan, just let me know.
I'm dominating the book game right now. I'd prefer you out of it. I mean,
listen, Stugotz is about to crush this, because I can't believe that the day that Stugotz finishes something, because we have arrived at the publishing of Stugotz's personal record book, that what will immediately happen at this point in his career that I didn't think could have more conquering and mystery and wonder in it as he climbed to the top of media. I think Stugotz can legitimately become a New York Times best-selling author because of the way this book is already selling, and it wasn't on sale until right now, for real, where we launched this book into the sky and demand that America make Stugotz a bestseller. And I'm got to tell you, Chris, coming in here, seeing your father not know that there was no school and getting here too quick through traffic, he was not enjoying, as Stugotz talked about some of the numbers coming in on his book, and he thought to himself, my books didn't do quite that well, and his hasn't gone on sale yet. For real. Not for real.
Well,
I saw you sitting for an hour in the jealousy.
This is vintage Dan. He's trying to pit the two authors of books against one another to deflect away from what Roy called them out on.
I got to tell you, Greg has been nothing but supportive, both to me, the book, and we should thank Dan Stanczyk as well, because Dan Stanczyk really wrote this book. He wrote it along with me and many, many others, and I thank all of them because...
We all did. We all wrote it for you.
Dan, your forward was fantastic.
Yeah.
Greg, your chapter was amazing. Greg and I are doing a book signing together.
Yes, we
You
are.
will not divide us, okay? We are two authors who are unified. We are going to do a book signing together in Miami in a couple of weeks. How about that?
Uh-oh. It's I'm not crazy about this ambiguous timeline. You better be careful.
I'm super excited about that. We'll be a couple of authors just sitting around cutting it up.
Yeah, baby.
I couldn't help but notice when I tried to get the book on Audible that it said delayed.
Yeah, that's the audio version of it. Yep.
Who's recording the audio version? Has it been recorded?
I am, and what I decided, by the way, halfway through recording the audiobook, now I did the entire thing, but I
Wait, hold on. You've recorded this. It's done.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Because that was one of my chief concerns.
And I
Well,
told...
but wait. Let me, just because I've got a little more information, before you go into the full-on grift of this.
Sure. I was just going to say, in the spirit of this show, I told the director of the audiobook to save all the outtakes.
Okay. But,
And there are plenty.
But before,
Stanczyk, big words.
Before
Jesus.
we get to selling the audiobook, which will be a different time of sales than what is being sold today, the big day when we're merely trying to get to Stugotz, New York Times best-selling author, because the audiobook will be a whole different kind of Stugotz selling out.
But it's not supposed to be. They're supposed to be out at the same time, if I understand books correctly.
Okay, but over the last few weeks, Stugotz has been really grinding. He goes home and he has been doing this audiobook. But while he was doing it, I was telling him that I thought that it might be better if he had Cody read his own version, and then I believe Stugotz had the idea it would be fun to do show within the audiobook, which is just going to give more work for you guys, just so that you know this ends in more work for you guys.
Really, I wasn't satisfied with what it was I was doing, and so I said there's a better way to dress this thing up. And so whether it's, I have top fives in there, breaking those up with a sounder, going to Chris, but you never actually hear from Chris, and just things that I think would make the audience enjoy it a bit more than just me reading into a microphone. That's all.
Audiobooks is pretty much just dudes reading.
Yeah, but I want to change that.
I love his train of thought, though. I need to change this up. Top five.
I want it to be
I'm
better.
Do a top five in the book.
Yeah.
But you had everyone write the book for you. Why don't you just have the people read what they wrote? And then you don't have to read anything.
I've asked enough of those people. They have done enough for me. I mean, seriously. They have. And the top fives I put in. The way we did the book is Stanczyk sent me the book, and I sent back a different book. That's what we did. because I needed the audience to feel like I actually contributed something to the book. And so we tried to put it more into, my personality. I weaved
the whole thing is supposed to be your personality. It's your book.
Like he is crushing Dion Waiters in one chapter, and I decided to do top 5 athletes that connote something you would find in a restaurant.
That's not how
I put that in.
The rare book. The rare
that was
book.
my edit. Yeah.
Did you read any of this book?
Bestseller. Yeah, well, I had to for the audio.
I'd love to hear from Stanczyk on this experience.
Let's talk to him. Let's interview Stanczyk.
That's not how audiobooks are supposed to be.
I was forced to.
You're supposed to
it's a good book.
You're supposed to have faith that the audiobook is the book.
So Greg Cody worked very hard on his 2 books.
3 books. But I worked hard on 2 of them. You're right.
Who's
Or
counting?
one of them, actually.
The 2 that have sold very well because they were pushed through this show, Back in My Day, which was released just recently.
Yep. New book.
And Pride of a Lion, which you did with Ron McGill.
Yeah.
Those sold. Our audience is crazy, man. It really is. And we couldn't be more grateful for it. But they sell in the publishing industry thousands and thousands of books. And yours did very well. But what Stugotz is doing right now is off the charts. And he hasn't really gotten started yet, and he's farmed out all the work. He did it in the laziest way possible. I will tell you that I was insulted about 17 times in how it is that I had to write that forward.
Yeah.
And I don't think Stugotz ever read it. He just said it was long.
It was hard to get through.
Yeah. You're a long forward writer.
Yeah. I mean,
You really are.
You are. I mean,
thank you.
Listen,
Tighten it up.
I appreciate it, man, because I needed it, and you did it, and you did it well. I have not read it, but it was hard to get through.
I got back edits from Stugotz. Billy, you'll love this. This is what I got back from Stanczyk. More of a toast than a roast.
Well, yeah.
After he had told me, just crush me.
Yeah.
So I'd already written something that was just crushing him.
You crushed me.
And then he doesn't read it, and I have to rewrite it. Because Stanczyk, I got instructions from
I did some
Stugotz.
edits as well.
How mean was it?
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was too mean. I was reaching out to Stugotz, who hadn't read it, and I'm saying, I think this is too mean. I don't think this is what should be at the front of this book. I think this needs to be softer, but you told me to crush you.
It's a great way to receive a forward from a guy you've been doing a show with that you consider to be a friend for the last 20 years. He hands me something, and he says, make sure you read this. More importantly, make sure Abby's okay with this. I'm like, oh, boy.
Oh, Dan, what did you do?
Yeah.
I did what Stugotz assigned me to do after he asked Wilbon to do it, or after he asked me to get Wilbon to do it.
Yeah, what happened with that?
He ghosted me. Now he's ghosted both of us. You cost me that friendship, too.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
No, I am. I don't want to cost Dan any friendships. I mean,
if you lose a friendship with Wilbon, did you lose a friendship?
Put it on the poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. If you lose a friendship with Wilbon, did you really lose a friendship? At Le Batard Show. There is a ton to talk about today, and we will continue the launching of the book over the course of the day. But I am ready to announce something, Billy, that I think everyone here will be moved by, and it won't be hard to get Greg Cody to rally at my side and run into the breach. The Miami Dolphins are about to play a show me something game.
wow.
And if they win that game on the road, I will allow everyone here to hope. I will stop forbidding hope, and I will simply allow everyone here to hope freely and without encumbrance. You can hope that the Miami Dolphins, a 500 team, will do something in the playoffs.
What if we're already hoping, though?
No, you're not allowed to hope yet.
Until you give us permission.
Until you win at Green Bay, because you got to show me something.
Okay.
Show
Premature
you
hope.
something.
You got to show me. This is a show me something game.
I like it. Yes.
You haven't beaten anybody.
Yeah. Well,
This is better. I'm loving this. Whatever you're giving off right now about the Dolphins, I love it.
much
Give
better.
me more of it.
Yeah.
No, man. Hope is a dangerous thing, Dan. Like, I don't think I can do it. Wow. I can't hope.
In general or just Dolphins related?
Just Dolphins related.
Oh.
No. It's too dangerous. Can't do it.
Billy?
Yes, Dan? I learned yesterday you need to be very careful when you're talking about the Dolphins. Dolphins fans are very mad at me. Very mad at me.
It wasn't you who said
analysis.
it. It wasn't you who said it.
I didn't say anything.
It was that other voice that said it. It wasn't you who said it. Did you hear what the other voice said? The other voice said yesterday, I don't want to say it, but in these games, this is where Tua gets hurt late at night when everyone's watching. It wasn't Billy. It was another voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
And people got mad at him because he was whispering, it's your subconscious talking, immoral football fan. I'm among you. I live among you. I'm watching a guy who is more at risk for a concussion than anyone in sports that we'll talk about. The center of all the Dolphin hope is a brain that will be talked about if it gets hurt again more than any other brain in the sports world existing.
Which is crazy because, like, Denzel Ward has this same exact issue and no one knows about it because he's got Tua as a meat shield.
Chris Olave, too.
Yeah, I mean, there's players in the NFL who've had 5, 6 concussions, but because they don't play a starting quarterback, we don't know about it. Tua played a completely healthy season just a year ago. It's fatalist thinking to go, well, but what if he gets hurt? Chiefs fan could say that about Patrick Mahomes. Imagine if Mahomes breaks a leg. What's with the Chiefs then? You know, you could say that about the whole league.
It's a good point.
But if Mahomes tore his ACL twice, you'd be more concerned about his knee moving forward. Tua has had several concussions, so therefore you are more concerned about him. Right?
I'm not concerned about Aaron Rodgers re-injuring his Achilles. I'm concerned about Aaron Rodgers being 41 years old and not very good anymore.
Billy, the storm you found yourself in yesterday was interesting to me because all that other voice was saying, and it was near you, so I can understand how people would think it was you, all he was saying is the greatest fear of Dolphin fans that's only here because of the things that have happened in this game situation where you dare to hope, oh, their offense looks great. Oh, I forgot their quarterback's brain is in narrative, mushier than the rest. Like, we're all doctors on CTE, and he's more fragile than anyone in the sport. And we forget if they put together a 3-game win streak.
Well,
we forget entirely. Oh, the offense looks good.
To clarify, Greg, I didn't say any of that stuff. What I said was this might be Tua's biggest game. It sounds crazy, but it might be his biggest game because it's an opportunity for him to dispel a lot of the bad narratives around him. Can't do it in the cold, can't do it against a good team, can't do it in prime time, all of those things. And then somewhere, off to the side, someone said, well, this is, historically when these concussions seem to happen. But, again, I didn't say it, and I would caution you guys to go down that path as well. Right. And I would also say...
Why do you say you didn't say it? You said it, but you said it in a different
voice. Wasn't him.
It was very clearly
somebody else.
Someone else.
It was somebody else. It wasn't him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not certain. So the point is this. I would caution you guys not to go down that path because it's not a path well received.
Unpleasant.
The path you said.
Not him.
Why do you do the that's,
I'm not.
You're insinuating that we're lying
there
about
was
you were the
selective
one that
editing, I would say, where
We
context.
were live.
There was context. Yeah, no, but the problem is
you
is
were
that,
right next to him.
No, a lot of people. No,
I saw
no,
the words come out of his mouth,
No.
but he just muffled them.
No.
You know he's going to say fallacies.
No. Falsehoods.
Give him a chance.
This is a situation. A lot of people received that via social media. And I will say there was some selective clipping. And I understand the game. I understand how this works. We put out the spiciest things out there, lacking full context and full, reasoning, where I specifically said, I'm rooting for Tua to succeed. I want him to succeed. However, some people may be worried about the situation. All of that absent. And this takes me down a sad path that I remember one Super Bowl week 2 years ago when we were in Arizona, where a similar thing happened with this very same Tua in an interview, where a question that I asked him, in jest, was replayed, lacking certain context, where the video that went out that upset the Dolphins fans everywhere was when I asked Tua, in jest, in response to another question that was asked previously, when I asked Tua, quote, should Mike McDaniel be charged with your murder? And they did not like that question at all, and they said this is such bad form and blah, blah, blah. But had you gotten the full context, you would have known that was me trying to lighten the mood because we went to Concussion Town with Dan and the rest of right before that. So I was trying to kind of lighten the mood and move away from that. Now,
you're often a victim of things being out of context.
Thank you. Finally, you get it.
Yeah, it
Finally.
happens, and it oddly happens with starting quarterbacks inside the AFC East.
No. And by the way, lacking also in the analysis is it's a big game against a team which, Dolphins fans, forgive me on the front end for saying this, a team that's arguably better than you, forgive me, arguably better than you, and then in those instances, Tua sometimes tries to make things happen that aren't necessarily there, and that's when he gets in trouble. He tries to extend the play, he tries to dive head first for first down, that's when things get in trouble. Forgive me, Someone mentioned it, and I thought, you know what? Maybe that's something that's a fear. It's something to be worried about, a concern. But again, this is a great opportunity to dispel a lot of this. That's all that was said yesterday.
I think I've heard some murmurs worried that playing this opponent on a holiday usually also means Tua gets a concussion.
I haven't heard such things.
I find everything around him to be wildly interesting because he's the epicenter, Stugotz, of how that position matters, how that sport matters, our conundrum at the crossroads between, wow, we really like violence, not that much, and should he retire? And I'm sitting next to a longtime columnist I accused of being a homer the last time he was in here. And we enraged him by having his wife come on and say, yeah, he roots for the Dolphins. He has said the Dolphins were going to win the Super Bowl last year.
Yep.
Tua is at the center of all of that hope. He has been very protective of Tua. And even he says, one more concussion on Thanksgiving night while America's watching, and he needs to retire.
No, I actually didn't say it quite that way. What I said was I think the next bad concussion, and there are different types of concussions. I think the next bad concussion will see him retire. I didn't say that he would need to. I always think it should be the player's decision. I never think it should be the media's decision or the fans' decision or the team's decision.
You said it would be a howling outcry for that career to end if we have to watch. If America has to recoil at the horror of seeing on television, wait, this is one of the guys I like. I'm gonna keep seeing him spasm. Nah, man, like this, I'm not okay with how all of this feels.
But this talk is ridiculous because I regret doing it the first time around with Tua, where I actually said he should retire. I don't want to watch him play football. And he quickly corrected all of us by saying, hey, this is up to me.
Yep.
It's not up to you. This is up to me. It's up to me and my family. And it is. Tua loves playing football. Tua wants to be out on the football field. Tua realizes, I'm guessing, there is a risk to him playing such a violent sport. But you know what? He is willing to risk all of that because he wants to be there with his teammates and play the sport that he loves. And I'm good with that.
Okay, you're good with it now, though, Stugotz. I understand you're good with it now.
But he's the one who's going to get hurt, not us.
I know, but you're good with it now. But when he says till the death of me, and then you're faced with what happened with Damar Hamlin, and we're canceling the Monday night game, and then all of a sudden hushed tones fall over the proceedings, and we're less good with the choices that he made because we had to see the consequences of the choices that are made.
But I'm not good with people making choices or thinking they have the power or authority to make choices on his behalf. I mean, he's a grown man.
Damar Hamlin is still playing for the Buffalo Bills. Tua is still playing, and as well as he ever has. Tua in the last 3 or 4 games has not just been pretty good, he's been great. He's been like best in the NFL, great the last couple of games. And it's because he's much better this year in his progressions. When he threw that touchdown pass to Jonnu Smith was his 4th option. Last year, he never gets to his 4th option. He's forcing it to Tyreek Hill or something. Tua's a smarter quarterback this year. I think he's safer other than that one play where he went after an interceptor.
If I may, though, Greg, to the point that the voice near Billy was making, in situations where Tua is being asked to do a little more in a big game against Buffalo, against Cincinnati, when everybody's watching. I just started the show with this is a show me game. The last couple of games Tua has played, no one's seen them. Even though everybody watches the NFL, everyone watches this one. Right. What Tua has done, I don't mean that as dismissively as it sounds, but Tua has played 2 games when all the other games were going on and the Dolphins game wasn't one of the interesting ones. So what he's done the last 2 weeks, if I'm saying this is a show-me game, it's against Jordan Love, the other guy who got money. The voice underneath Billy's breath was telling you these are the spots where he gets hurt, trying to do a little too much in the open field.
And what I would suggest is that when you're 2-6, every game is a show-me game. He's played 3 show-me games in a row to get his team back into playoff hope, and he's won 3 in a row. And I don't. There should not be a presumption of the next concussion is right around the corner. You can have that fear and concern, but you can't assume it. And Tua doesn't and shouldn't. And if he plays the rest of the season healthy, as good as he has the past couple of weeks, they're gonna make Dolphin history by going from 2-6 to the playoffs.
This took a negative turn again. It's not what we were supposed to talking about.
I thought it was book day.
Yeah, book day, and it's a show me day. Excited. Thanksgiving day. Oh, my God, guys.
And hope.
8 o'clock Thanksgiving, Lambeau Field.
Yeah.
Dolphins.
Wow.
Packers.
Exciting.
This one's great.
Yep. It's a show me game.
A win.
Yeah.
People also got mad that I said that it's potentially the biggest game of his career, and then they started throwing out the biggest game of his career was the one that he lost against the Chiefs last year. The biggest game of his career is the one against the Bills. The biggest game of his career is the national championship.
Those are all fair.
Yeah, no, I get it. But moving forward, this is the biggest game of his career this week. Like,
You're right.
what's the big deal?
Billy,
What's in front of you?
when you were talking earlier,
One game at a time.
I didn't realize that you did deserve more context when you asked him to lighten the mood. Should the Dolphins be charged with murder? Yeah, that's the proper way to respond to that.
That was an attempt to lighten the mood.
It was a follow-up, Dan.
After an interview that I derailed with
Yeah.
terrible questions and you were trying to save, you fell on the sword on behalf of the show, and Dolphin fans were furious with you, even though all you were trying to do was, in that one instance, legitimately help.
Yeah, I didn't know that they were that mad until I was sitting at the airport like 4 hours later. I was like, let me check my phone, see what's going on. I was like, oh no, oh no. Oh, Tour
right,
canceled all his interviews for us the day after that one. Oh no. I was like, no, guys, you don't understand. He signed my jersey after. He was okay. It was fine. He wasn't that mad.
Guys,
he canceled everything. I was like, oh.
He canceled the entire tour. If you recall, though, we're fine because Tua does not remember that interview.
Doesn't.
We asked him.
Doesn't remember. That's
there
the
might have
fun
been reasons for
CTE.
that.
That's the fun CTE. Dan Stanczyk is right there. I see him.
Yeah.
Now, how do I describe him, Stugotz, to the audience? He's your longtime producer, and he's the actual author of this book, correct?
Yes, he is the author of the book. He used to produce Stupidity back when we were at ESPN. He is still at ESPN. He is a huge fan of the show. He produces Mina Kimes' podcast right now, Adam Schefter's podcast as well.
He's shaking his head no. He is
Well,
saying
maybe
he
I got
does-
Mina Kimes wrong, but it doesn't matter. Our audience, because I am telling you right now, Dan, this book, I never wanted to write a book. Stanczyk loves our show so much, loves the characters so much, and he has a desire to write books. Stanczyk wrote this book, and audience, if you are enjoying today and enjoying the books and enjoying putting us on the New York Times bestseller list, and we're number one in a million different categories right now on Amazon, you have one person to thank, and that person is Dan Stanczyk. So
It's more than that, though, because it was the hundreds of people that he recruited.
well, I did that. That was my contribution.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, no, Stanczyk is shaking his head no. All right, Stanczyk, what is true and what is not true here about what he has already
Buttered 'em up, I
presented?
mean.
What has he presented, Dan? I don't know. First time, long time. Great to be with you.
Yeah.
What he just
Original crew today.
said,
Love
yes.
it.
You like that, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the original crew.
Big fan of the show. I told you, Dano.
To sell the book that we will make a bestseller, the audience will make the bestseller, but tell us about the experience of doing this with Stugotz. You were shaking your head no, as if facts that weren't facts were coming out of his mouth.
Well, he didn't reach out to the 20 people that contributed to the book. I think he gave me contact information for about one or two of them, but I did all of the reaching out to all of them. Greg included. Greg has the emails to prove it.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
I can verify.
Stugotz's people. This
Who
is
made the initial ask, Stanczyk? Let's just start there. Who made the initial ask?
Of Randy Scott and Field Yates, that was me.
Yeah, that was you. Yeah, those two were definitely you. Yeah, because I knew they were going to say yes, and you said, "Hey, I'll just reach out to them and take some of the load off you." I appreciate that.
I don't think Stugotz wants everyone to see just entirely how lazy he was during this, but I'm going to
You guys
dig
probably shouldn't have me on then.
Well, you reach out to Field Yates on Sunday mornings. I mean,
well, Stanczyk, Stugotz came on here and he really did every day was talking about how tired he was from writing this book. And as far as I could tell, it's just because he had to do 3 meetings.
There was a lot of meetings. I don't want to defend Stugotz too much, but he does deserve defense there. There were plenty of meetings. He was in a lot of those meetings, but he also had me in those meetings to provide the context that the publisher needed in those meetings.
Yes.
There was plenty of meetings. The work Stugotz has done has really been in the last few weeks, which is probably why some of the things are delayed. I would also like to say Stugotz has finally now read the book as he's been doing the audiobook. So
I was forced to.
More
Yeah.
information than he normally would be.
you did a great job.
How is it?
Yeah, you did a great. It's great. I got to tell you, it's fantastic. I changed some things around. I sent it back to Stanczyk, but he really did a good job. I mean, you really captured me. You did a tremendous, some big words that I would have left out, but you really did a great job of capturing the essence of Stugotz. Thank you, buddy.
You did sprinkle in some things after all of the editing process was done and we needed to be done with the entire project. Stugotz did sprinkle in a couple of lines, but I did notice that those sprinkles were in like the first 3 or 4 chapters, which led me to believe that he didn't get to 5 through 35.
So I noticed that when I was reading the book, it was very inconsistent. The first 4 or 5 chapters were a lot better than the last, let's say, 16 or 17. How many chapters?
Started strong. We started strong.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I'm proud of you, man. You wrote a good book. Seriously.
Thank you.
It's holiday time bonus, maybe? What are we thinking here? You get bestseller? Is there a bestseller bonus? What do we get?
I mean, I don't know. That will depend on sales of the book, right? I mean, it's all guaranteed money. I'm joking. Whatever I agree to with Stanczyk is what he gets. Maybe a little bonus. We'll see. For the kids.
How does it feel being an author, Stanczyk?
It's actually weird. I plan on going to a bookstore later today, and hopefully the book is there. I think that will be a pretty surreal moment. Not that people go to bookstores anymore, but anyone listening should buy the book.
Yeah.
It's great, honestly. It hasn't felt real. It still doesn't feel real, but like the books came, they're in my house, so like it is real. I'm sure the audience feels the same way. Stugotz has said a million things. He's had a million of ideas, and he hasn't executed many of them. This is one that was executed largely for him, but he did contribute. So I think this is a happy day for the audience. It's a Stugotz idea that has come to fruition for the audience.
Yes. Something I was never going to do, honestly. I would never, anyone who knows me knows I am incapable for a number of different reasons for sitting down that long to write a book. It is never something I've had a desire to do until Mike Schur introduced me to this guy, Richard Abadi, okay, who is one of the great literary agents in America. And then he called me 2 hours later with an offer from Random House. And oh my God, did my tone change in terms of wanting to write a book? I got an offer.
Yeah, that would do it.
Stugotz, if we were to rank the reasons why this book happened or why you wanted to do the book, I think money is probably number 1.
I would say the audience is number 1, money is number 2,
Audience.
Stanczyk is number 3, and money is number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How about that? I mean, is that fair? Stanczyk, I wanted to do this for the audience, and it was never going to get done unless you did it. So
absolutely,
those are the
yes, I don't think you're lying at all there.
Right.
I just think money is probably number 1. The audience is probably number 2. But yeah, there is some good nature there.
Yeah, money 1, audience 2. You're right.
Well, the fact that you all attracted Random House, a major, elite NFL sports level publishing house, is amazing. And that's why when you go into that bookstore, Stanczyk, chances are pretty good you might actually see the book. A cautionary tale, though, when Pride of a Lion first came out, I was all thrilled. The day it came out,
oh no,
I run to my local Barnes & Noble. I'm envisioning a big display, not just the book somewhere on a shelf. I'm envisioning a big display, nowhere to be found. They never carried the book. So, but I think it's going to be different with a Random House product.
This is where the jealousy comes in.
Mango Publishing's fine.
You guys thought I was making this up. Everybody here thought I was being negative, and I was pitting people against each other.
Okay. I'm just saying, Random House is the NFL. I have a beautiful local publisher called Mango Publishing. I love Mango.
Wonderful local publisher.
I love Mango, but it's not the NFL. Random House is. Mm-hmm. And even Mango would agree.
So that's the
that.
only reason that Stugotz's book is more successful than yours.
I was given a note, and I'm wondering if you guys can confirm or deny this. I was told that you were asked specifically to stop saying this is going to be a New York Times bestseller. Is this so?
I don't recall at any point someone asking me to stop saying that. I mean, listen, whether it goes on the New York Times bestseller list or not, I don't care, because the thing is, I'm a best-selling author today.
Yeah,
and in my personal record book,
what metrics?
Well, in Stugotz's personal record book part 2, this book has already made the New York Times bestseller. Okay, it's already there, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
What were you guys pointing at? Who was being told not to say New York Times bestseller anymore? The audience, it is required of the audience. Again, Chris, not helpful to continue to point at a screen. Who's telling you that we shouldn't be saying New York Times bestseller?
Stugotz denied it. I wanted to hear Stanczyk's opinion on that.
I'll just say that there is some hesitancy within our publisher, about mentioning it. But I have told them Stugotz has been saying it since February. Like this isn't going to change. He's been saying Stugotz, beep, New York Times bestseller list, beep, collision course. Like it's a thing. So we sent the book to influencers, 30 or so people. Dan, you were among those who got the book with a note from Stugotz and I that, of course, I wrote.
Yeah.
And in the note, I had that line in there. And someone with our publisher asked to take it out because the New York Times gets a little finicky when you mention the New York Times bestseller list and trying to get on there.
Yes.
So the publisher did at one point suggest that we not do that, and I told them we're doing it anyway.
I would like to urge.
That was Taylor's line.
I would like to urge the audience in this regard because I don't believe in the history of all his grifts that we will have had a career achievement better than the world's laziest author does the least authoring that can possibly be done and rockets to the top of the New York Times bestseller list. Our show, as one that is proud of the written word, the dying written word, can't do better than that as a joke. Cannot.
Dan, you should take solace in the fact that you wrote more words than Stugotz in this book, and your name is also on the cover.
Right.
In some ways, this is a tribute to you and your long career of writing.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. Yes. No money, by the way.
The first writing of this kind I've done since back in my day. Another best-selling book with a smaller publishing house, not quite as best-selling as Stugotz's bestseller.
But now you're in bookstores, Dano. How about that? You, Dan Le Batard, you're in bookstores. Your name's on the cover.
On the Cape of Stugotz.
I did it for you.
Again, yes, I'm very high on that list of money audience. God, we all laughed at that one. I did it for the audience. Brother Teresa here.
I did it for you, man.
You got the author. He's got an author title. And Stanczyk, when you expect what goes forward on this book, because I don't think I'm overstating it when I say he made this very hard for you, right? You had to do what percentage of the work?
Ooh, if we're breaking it down that way, I'd say probably in the 90% range.
Of the front end stuff, right? On the back end, I really carried it home, right? Like, you're not coming to the book signing with me and Greg Cody next week. You're not going to do that. You didn't have to sign 5,000 inserts, did you? I mean, you're not doing a media tour, are you? I mean, you can do it with me.
We're talking about the work of the book.
Listen, Stanczyk, I'm not going to let Dan do this today.
This feels like you guys are falling apart.
I'm not going to let him fracture our relationship. We have part 2 to write. I'm not going to let Dan do it today.
You have more to
You're resenting signing your own name to a book you didn't write?
Are you charging for the book signing with Greg?
No, we're not charging. I mean, Greg and I are doing a book signing together.
My book is included.
Yeah. They buy the book, they get Stugotz to sign it with his beautiful signature.
Oh, I mean...
How did the
paper? You guys talking about the audiobook?
I don't know how the book world works, man. This is my first time around. That's up to Random House how they do it.
I don't want to ask an indelicate question.
Slinging books, man.
Stanczyk did 90% of the work and 90% of the money, or how did that work?
Well,
how did that break down?
Listen, it broke down in a way that I think is favorable for Stanczyk. I mean, more favorable for me, but that's the way it should work. They are my takes. I had the throwaway line of my personal record book. I didn't actually have one when I said that line because who would have that? Right. Who would actually sit there and keep their own personal record book? But Stanczyk was writing it the entire time. The first time he mentioned it to me was when he was producing Stupidity. He said, I will write your book. And I never thought about it much until he called me maybe a year later or so and said, I've written the book. And I said, send it over. And he did. And I said, this is really good. And that was that. He wrote a book. It was good. And our audience loves it. So thank you. I mean,
picturing Stephen King. Like doing the same process.
Well, I just want to ask you
it's a hard, grueling process. I would not recommend it to anyone. Writing books is difficult.
It's tough,
it is really tough, especially the way I did it. I mean, when you pour your heart and soul into something for month after month after month, and then it's the audiobook, and then it's a PR tour, and then it's another meeting, and then there's a book portal login. I mean, it's too much.
Where is your PR tour?
I haven't seen you anywhere. I saw you on Todd McShay.
This is his PR tour.
I did The Art of Fatherhood. I did McShay. I'm going on some other shows next week because it's Thanksgiving week this week. Not a good day to go on shows.
Your tour is
I got Adam
two
Shine
stops?
today. I think I'm doing Brendan Tobin later this week. I mean, I'm making all the
Leroy?
stops.
Yes.
I mean,
Later this week.
Yeah, but I don't have to. I can sit back and cruise now because this book is already sold well enough. In fact, I'm thinking about canceling the entire media tour. I don't need anyone. I just need this audience. That's all. And Stanczyk. I mean,
What does that mean? Well enough? Like, I'm assuming you had to reach a certain amount to get paid in full or something.
No, we get paid no matter what. Yeah.
No.
Stanczyk, I just want you to know, okay, as a longtime fan of this show and as we celebrate 20 years with what I believe is just, please make this a bestseller because we can't do better than mocking everything than this. But Stanczyk, I can't believe that I'm looking in the shipping container who have been with Stugotz for almost 20 years, everybody, and they've reached a point where they are recoiling from the shame of whatever it is that this business arrangement was. I'm looking in the room, and all of them are afraid to ask you a question because the answer might be a little too real. Like, I want the help of the group to do this with you, and they won't do it with me.
Some of them may know better, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're recoiling. I feel shame in the other room. I can't believe you guys are still capable of shame when this is the creature we're in love with.
Well, I just would have thought with the finished product, now's when Stugotz shows up. You know, the bright lights are on. He's there to take all the credit, which seemingly is within his character or lack thereof. But he's too lazy to even take an unjust amount of credit for this because he doesn't want to do the PR tour.
Well, no, I don't want to do that to Stanczyk. It's our day.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, get out.
Yes. I don't want to do that to Dan Stanczyk.
Dan's
Listen, Dan,
tackling.
this is a dream.
Chicken thigh.
I deserve that. I deserve it. I hate those fucking chickens, man. I hate them. I hate them. I hate the chickens.
Thanks for joining us, Stanczyk.
Stugotz is in full self-involvement mode. They're counting down, and he's just yelling, "I'm counting sales. It's doing great." And he's very excited, and we're excited for him. What were you saying as I had to wave you off because they were counting us in live and you didn't know and you were counting your numbers?
Dan, when you write a book and you become an author, and hopefully you'll be able to experience that one day, you get something called an author portal. And I have a username and a password, and today I remembered it for the first time because today the book is on sale. I am telling you, there are few things better than watching a live count of your book selling, like watching the number go up. It is fantastic. Audience, thank you so much. I did this for you.
Yeah. I do the same thing every week.
Chicken
That's not right. That's just not right.
That's what you do.
I mean,
of course you would.
Right.
I do the same thing every week with the Greg Cody Show podcast numbers. I'm counting them. They're going up. They're rocketing.
Yes.
It's good for your self-esteem.
It does.
You know what else is a thrill?
Yeah, it does.
The day that and it happens with every book. Dan, you don't know this, but it happens with every book that you write. You get a shipment, a box of 40 or 50 books. Arrives at your house.
Yes.
And you open that box and you see stacks of the book that you wrote. It's a thrill.
Mm-hmm.
It was emotional when that happened to me. I'm serious.
We'll see if Stanczyk picks up those books for Stugotz and brings them to his house so that Stugotz won't be home when he comes over.
I have them in the car right now. Yeah.
Tony,
I brought one in for you, for the staff. I did. I'll autograph them.
I'd like to see it, please. Tony is joining us now. Diana Rossini is joining us in a little bit. We're going to go football intensive. I missed my brother last night because you had the Mannings over here, the Harbaughs over there, the Kelseys over there, a lot of brothers dominating our media airwaves. And Tony and Diana Rossini are going to carry us through Baltimore ends up beating the Chargers, and I feel like I have this right? For as unpredictable as that sport could be, we're like all just sitting around. You can give me all the metrics you want. Baltimore's a little bit better than the Chargers. I don't know why I know that. Charger defense is great, but Lamar Jackson is going to do that to everybody except like a couple of teams. They're like a couple of teams, but they're important teams that he's got to do it against.
It's the Chiefs, Steelers, or playoff teams.
But I'm saying any team seeing Lamar Jackson for the first time, it's like a spaceship has landed on the field, except the ones who play him all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Pittsburgh has his number.
That was the best defense in the league. Lamar Jackson did that too last
Yes, but I would say Lamar.
He had 18 yards at one point in the second quarter.
I think he's on his way to his third MVP. Lamar Jackson is the guy in sports now. He is the guy across all sports that needs to do it in the postseason. He is. He's the new guy.
Wait,
Across all sports.
Yeah.
Josh Allen moment bought him nothing because you forgot about him during a bye week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's Lamar.
So like an MVP performance.
No,
We all saw
Mike,
the signature moment.
Mike, he has 2 MVPs. He's 6-6 in the postseason.
Look
Like
at
he's
the
just not
offseason that
good.
the Bills had. It's got to be Josh.
We're obsessed with quarterbacks winning MVP, the MVP award. Saquon Barkley is the MVP of the NFL at this point, and you know where he is in the betting odds? About 14th or 15th. That's ridiculous.
You know what? No one's ever come around and corrected because the book on Lamar Jackson was you got to get this guy help. Look at the amount of first-round draft picks as help that they've gotten Lamar Jackson. They got him one of the greatest running backs of all time, too, in the offseason. They have done a great job building out that roster around
Mike, that organization quietly, because we can have this conversation around Lamar Jackson every year, move the goalposts, MVP doesn't matter, I need to see it in the playoffs. Quietly, the Ravens, one of the best-run organizations in all of sports, but had the misfortune of playing when the Patriots were grabbing so many of the championships, and we're changing the entire shifting culture into, man, third place, you're a loser. If you're third best, even if you're third best for 15 years with different quarterbacks, loser. Tony.
Oh, yeah.
Where are you? You're standing somewhere, and I don't recognize it. Are you on the highest hill in all of South Florida?
Dano, in the shadow of the Palmetto, in the shadow of Winter Wonderland or whatever, the Ferris wheel, we're at the top of the highest point in Southwest Miami-Dade. We're at the top of the Tropical Park Hill. As you can see, we've got everything around here. Kids learning how to ride bike. We've got a bunch of kites and trees from kids that failed to fly kites in Miami. We've got vultures flying around. There might be a dead raccoon somewhere. I am feeling extremely grateful to show you guys one of the hidden gems of our city, the Tropical Park Hill, Dan.
And right there is where John Ruiz's stadium's going to be, right behind Tony.
Right over my right shoulder, right over there.
Billy, weren't you supposed to, as a grid of death punishment 6 years ago, supposed to run to the highest point in South Florida? I've never seen video of that. Did you ever pay that punishment?
Well, I mean, I've done it many a times. They asked me to do it this morning because he was going to be there, but they said get there at 9, and I was like, the show needs me. I can't just be here at 9 and show up to the show at 10:30 after I finish doing that. So we're going to get to it in a later date, TBD.
Well, it's 6 years old. All
yeah,
right.
well, I mean, what do you want me to do? You want me to just miss the show today to go run up the highest point? It'll take all day.
I want you to pay your penalties within 6 years.
He's getting to it.
I'm trying.
Tony, OLI.
Dano, first I want to say that Tony's Top 5 is presented by DoorDash. Get all your game day faves delivered. Head to DraftKings.com/DoorDash to play for free. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. Dan, we're going to start off, like you said, in the OLI. It's Thanksgiving week. And what I wanted to do as part of the OLI is to stop and appreciate the football we had on Sunday with 4 incredible games that went down to the wire. Dan, we're going to be missing this in June. So I wanted to give a shout. I wanted to give flowers to the NFL for providing incredible games going into Thanksgiving.
Well, which is it? Are you
Dan.
shouting or are you giving them flowers? Are you doing both? Are you shouting them out while giving them flowers?
Yeah, I'm shouting out because they're kind of far away, so I'm shouting out here.
Okay.
As I extend the flowers.
I get it, yeah.
Kind of a 2-in-1 there.
How high are you? Oh, look, talk to that guy. You want to
Very.
interview that guy? Look, there, a jogger just went by. Somebody, look at these mountain climbers.
Oh,
look at
wow.
them.
Oh,
yes.
Look at me, Louie.
Guys having a good workout?
Jeez.
Good workout? Yeah. Yeah. So Dan, if you look over behind me, there's some kids that are going to struggle mightily to try and get their little bikes up this rocky terrain because there's actually no grass there. It's straight gravel. I think a bee just flew in my mouth. Excuse me. But
Wow.
it's going to be tough.
B.
Yeah. It's high up here. They're pollinating all the flowers and little things that are around.
No hive around.
Okay. OLI.
There's some vultures in the back over there too.
You've mentioned that. Do you smell the raccoon? Is there a dead raccoon? You smell the raccoon?
There might be. There's obviously being upwind. We smell something, and they're circling above me. So I'm going to try and make this fast.
Keep moving.
Maybe it might be me, Dan, that they're trying to be. They're
Look,
trying
those
to be
kids
interested.
couldn't make it
All right,
up the
last
hill.
of
Look at those
OLIs.
little lazy bums.
Yeah.
They made it, though.
Nah, you made it, but
He's got an electric bike, man.
You got to ride up
Oh.
on the bike.
Cheater.
Come on.
Oh, look, they're helping. He's helping.
Let's
them.
not
I
zoom
love
in on the
that.
kids, please.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you.
All right. That's a good job by that kid. I mean,
Good
Good job
guys.
by the executive
Good job,
producer.
Yeah. That's a team.
Good job by that kid, Cody's kid.
Team players. All right, last of the OLIs. It was a beautiful Disney Channel moment for Bryce Young on Sunday.
He lost.
Reason why I say Disney Channel? Yeah, but it's a Disney Channel moment, Dan. The reason why is because Bryce Young is the kid that nobody wanted on their high school football team. All of a sudden, the star quarterback gets injured. He gets thrown in. He's playing the big bad team from across the city. And all of a sudden, you think they're going to win. They're trying. They're fighting hard. He's making incredible plays. They end up losing. But we all know the heartwarming story of you never give up and you always fight till the end. And that was a beautiful Disney Channel moment for Bryce Young.
He was the #1 draft pick.
Ooh, the kids made it down the hill, by the way.
Yeah.
Nice.
You got to roll down the hill. That's what we used to do as kids at the Tropical Park Hill. You roll down sideways. Get dizzy.
I'm not going to lie. I expected more from this hill. You guys really built this thing up.
No, you're not seeing it. You're seeing it from the top.
Okay.
It's a lame hill.
Yeah, I'm at the
it's a
top,
bad
Chris.
hill.
Those trees
It's
behind him are
it's
probably
1,000 feet down.
Yeah, those trees are probably like 150 feet tall.
If Jay Leno fell off of
Exactly.
this thing, he wouldn't live to tell the tale.
Se muere. No, se muere, se muere. Number 5.
Yes.
Number 5. Jaden Daniels' new nickname, Dan. The Magician. Do you know why?
I don't know why. What? Because he makes victories disappear?
He always seems to pull a rabbit out of a hat when the commies need it most.
They lost. What? He didn't do
Just always does.
But he didn't
The
at
dead
the
rabbit.
I
end.
mean, they lost because of the long snapper. The long snapper threw a shit pass back down. The shit snap. The holder tried to do his best. Siebert missed it by a mile. Jaden Daniels at the 6-yard line threw a 94-yard pass to Terry McLaurin for the game-tying touchdown. But
A game
What
they
do you mean,
never
no?
should
He
have
threw
been
like
behind it.
He threw like a 12-yard pass to Terry McLaurin, who did all the work.
Tony, how can you celebrate Jaden Daniels after that particular game, losing that game? How does that get into your top 5?
The magician, Dan, always pulls a rabbit out of the hat.
Okay.
Somehow, some way.
Okay.
He just
But
always does
except
it.
the last
The Hail
time.
Mary, that pass.
Greg,
Well, the last time,
look,
if
Greg,
I remember correctly,
Greg
was the Hail
Cody,
Mary.
veteran
That's what I
football
remember.
guy Greg Cody hates that as an observation.
I mean, pick a game when he's actually the hero in a nice victory. I mean, come on.
The Hail Mary.
Exactly right.
Number 4.
Thank you. Number 4. Stugotz is going to love this one. Baker is the Al Horford of the NFL.
Yeah,
He's got the trifecta. Guts, guile, moxie. If you give me 11 Baker Mayfields across the field,
Terrible team.
I'm winning that football game.
My God,
I'm
you're
winning
getting
that football
crushed
game.
in the trenches.
11
You're
quarterbacks.
going to get bulldozed.
Did you see the Baker Mayfield block 30 yards downfield? Did you
Exactly
see it?
right.
Second time he's done that.
That's crazy.
56 yards.
Yes.
And I will remind
Exactly
you.
right. The Al Horford of the NFL.
I will remind you, he's got experience. He was running scout team DN for the Carolina Panthers.
I think I'd put him like at
Exactly
2
right.
spots on the field. Like quarterback and maybe tight
Your
ends.
defensive line is getting bulldozed if you've got
Slowest
4
receivers,
Baker
too.
Mayfields.
Yeah, but the vibes are going to be immaculate.
Exactly right. Zins are going to be overflowing, boys. Number 3. There's the guy we were promised. Caleb Williams special on Sunday. Dan, did you see the throw to DJ Moore over 2 safeties to force overtime?
Do you have any winners in your list of top 5s? Like
Well,
anybody who won a football game this weekend?
Baker.
First off, yeah, Baker won. Thank you, Mike.
It's your list, Tony.
But
That's
Caleb
it.
Williams, thank you. He made 4 plays that were incredible plays. Did you see him roll out of the pocket, jump over a guy, throw the ball 45 yards down the field over the shoulder to DeAndre Swift? Did you see that play, Dan?
Yes. He
All right,
made 4 plays.
Okay, game-winning play. That's a winning play. How about the one where he was in the pocket, muddy pocket, broke down, jumped over a defender, and then got a first down? Winning play
it's
right
not
there.
a game-winning
Another
play.
winning
None
play.
of them were winning plays because they lost.
They're winning plays in my book.
Your personal
but
record
see,
book.
You're
Don't
no,
encourage
but
him.
you're talking about results. You're talking about results. I'm talking about the process, Dan. The pass over the middle to DJ Moore was an absolute laser. It had mustard.
It was.
I don't
a
know if
great
you guys
throw.
will get that
It was
reference.
a great throw.
I don't know if you guys will get that reference, but somebody will. Ah, thank you. Okay, perfect. Number 2. Saquon Barkley is on pace for the greatest statistical season in running back history and is making it look easy week in and week out. He should win the MVP. Thank you. He should win the MVP, but he won't because we love quarterbacks, Dan.
That was Greg Cody's take
Nothing
earlier.
to say. No love. No. Yeah, I heard it. I
Yeah,
was here.
sorry,
I
Tony.
was here at the top of the hill climbing for 40 minutes. It's cool. I was at the top of the hill climbing. for 40
did we
minutes. I
keep you
didn't
waiting? Sorry, we were doing a show.
Yeah.
Apologies.
It's okay. It's okay. No, it's all good. It's all good. Number 1,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy. Congratulations on the 2024 NFL MVP. It's all yours, buddy. Dan, you talk. Your buddy Charles Barkley talks about bus drivers and bus passengers. When did we figure out? I think it was on Sunday that Brock Purdy, bus driver for the 49ers. We thought it was all the weapons. We thought it was Debo. We thought it was Christian McCaffrey. We thought it was Trent Williams. We got a coach that's great in Shanahan. It's incredible. Everything's great until you sub in Brandon Allen and you're like, ooh, that looks terrible. Why? Oh, maybe Brock Purdy might be the MVP of the league. Who knows? Dano, that's Tony's top 5 from the top of the tropical Park Hill, the hidden gem of South Florida, right here, where families come to enjoy, vultures come to scavenge. All you want, all you need right here at the TP.
Thank you, Tony. We appreciate it. A celebration of losers there with the 49ers at the end. What he says of Saquon. I don't really want to do that show, but can you explain to me as a group why it is that Tony and Greg, and every time I look up at any of the NFL programming, they're arguing who should be the MVP of the league every week for the last couple of weeks of programming. And why can't we just say that there are 5 or 6 really valuable players?
Well, you can't do that. You have to pick someone. That's the job. It comes with the territory. It can't be Saquon Barkley. I'm sorry. The Eagles made the playoffs the 3 years prior to getting Saquon Barkley. The Eagles made it to a Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley. The Giants would be no better with Saquon Barkley. It has to go to a quarterback because that position is simply the most important position in sports, period.
If I may hold up a stat to counter-argue, getting 200-plus touches, no one has had this yards per carry outside of Jamal Charles and Jim Brown in NFL history so far. His yards per carry is insane when you consider his output.
He's having an insane season. I'm not doubting that or questioning that. I'm just saying the Eagles were good before he got there. They were a play away from winning a Super Bowl without him.
And they were also figured out, and he's provided them a much-needed extra dimension because they didn't have much if they didn't get that from Saquon Barkley.
Okay, but they got there with Miles Sanders, who's playing in Carolina and doing nothing
team,
now.
Different team. They've been figured out.
Yeah, they've won 7 in a row now. I think other than Detroit, I think they may be the best team in the league. It's a refreshing season when Patrick Mahomes is not given the MVP award. I don't think he's even in the top 10. This is an extraordinary season for Saquon Barkley. He could rush for 2,000 yards. I'm just saying, if you have a season where he's doing that and you don't have a quarterback having that extraordinary season, and you can make an argument for Josh Allen or whoever you want, I think it's absurd that he's 15th in the betting odds. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he should win. He's an automatic guy, but give him his respect.
Well, let's do this here. Diana Rossini is on with us. She is married to a lunatic Eagles fan. And if that lunatic Eagles fan were listening right now, he would say to us, hey, you guys do realize you guys have been talking a lot about the 49ers skill guys for a long time. But she told us about 5 weeks ago when people were questioning this, hey, the Eagles are obviously one of the good teams in the league. Whether you think they've figured out Jalen Hurts, whether you believe in Jalen Hurts or not, whether you believe Jalen Hurts is Brock Purdy, those skill guys are crazy. Those wide receivers are crazy. And you add Saquon Barkley to that. I'm talking about when I say crazy, I'm like, I know Goddard's not Kittle, but I wouldn't want to try and be covering that dude. Like, I don't know how they've got one of those mutant tight ends, and they don't need him very much because their other skill guys are so good, and now they've got a running back that has made the entire Giants organization collapse in his wake. The whole thing fell into the sewer the moment that he left, and we watched on television on Hard Knocks how they got rid of Saquon Barkley, trying to save dollars and coupons over here as you lose your locker room because they're saying, why'd you guys pay Daniel Jones before you paid this guy? We know the freak he is.
The problem with the Giants is it's not letting Saquon go. Again, they weren't very good with him, and the team wouldn't be any good with him this year. It's who they let him go to. That is the problem. Letting him go to Philadelphia is the problem for the Giants.
My point is, though, where we talk about the 49ers for the last 5 years and talk about Trent Williams, that offensive line has been the best unit in the sport for many years now. And so you put all of those skill guys behind that offensive line, and Diana, your husband has a lot of reasons to be happy because he knows how good his football team is.
Yeah, things are good over here, especially with that offensive line in Philly. You make a good point because I thought that they would regress without Jason Kelce. That was the biggest storyline about Philadelphia headed into the season of how would Jeff Stoutland, the offensive line coach, figure out a way to make this team good. Oh, we've got Mekhi Becton now from the Jets. He stunk there. Guess who's good now? Mekhi Becton, right? Really good coaching and being in a locker room with really good skilled players has improved his level of play. So yeah, the idea, Sunday in general, like just Sunday as a whole for Philadelphia and New York, it was so entertaining to just watch the collapse of one team, and the celebration of another because of that one team, because of the other team, because of their rival. I mean, New York by 4:00, by the time we were having dinner, I was just thinking, man, this is so hard for the Giants right now. They moved on from Daniel Jones, something I think we can all agree here on the show that was probably the right thing to do. They believe that Tommy DeVito, who, we talked to his agent on the show last week, was going to be that spark. He was the animal, right? The Italian stallion. Well, not much of a stallion, more like a little chicken. He wasn't great.
Wow. She called him a little chicken. Wow. She called Tommy Cutlets a little
Well, I was sticking with the Rocky theme. I was thinking Rocky.
Well done.
Rocky,
yeah.
it's a little chicken.
A little chicken, she called him.
You know, the chicken that runs around.
Yeah, I know.
But I don't put it on him. I don't even put the guy was the third string quarterback, and the Giants thought this would be the answer. This is going to be the guy to give us the spark and try to recapture what we saw last season. It is so difficult to do that. Meanwhile, you got Drew Lock, who is on a $5 million contract to be the backup quarterback.
Wait a minute.
Is sitting there
Diana, what is that in front of you? I can't believe I've taken this long to get to it. What is that in front of you? Right in front of you, near your right hand. Yes, there, Diana. What?
Wow,
oh
look at
my
that.
God! There
Yes,
it is.
look at that.
There it is. A live copy outside of the studio. Show us that it's not a prop. Show us that there are words in it, and there are pictures, and there are things
words
in it.
in this thing.
Just
okay,
happens to have it.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes.
What?
I go to my mailbox and I see this package. And I it's like Christmas at my front door every day. I get so excited when I get stuff, even though I bought it for myself and I ordered it most of the time. So I open this up and I see that it's Stu's book, and I've heard a lot about it. And he had asked me to write a review about it and just sort of, pump his tires about how great this book is going to be. So I see this like little note in there, and I'm like, I'll be damned. John wrote me a personal note.
Right.
Like he finally opened up to say, like, just thank you. Thanks for being you and supporting me all these years.
Yep.
This note was sent to every single person. It was not handwritten. It was handwritten one time and then photocopied.
That's correct.
Probably 150 other times.
Small budget.
Not even a signature. My name wasn't even on it. I threw that thing right out. But
Wow.
I have had some time to take a look. My son, actually, my 3-year-old son, Michael, lately, this is not, I'm not being funny, brings this in his crib. I don't know why, but I'm gonna get a picture of this thing tonight and send it to you guys. He sleeps with this in the crib.
Oh, this is
is
because you've dated a bunch of Shawns, as you told us last week, and then you married a Philadelphia Eagles fan, and you will absolutely give birth to a baby Stugotz. Yes, you will. Yes, you are going to try and raise somebody who is more evolved, and the Eagles fan is in your crib, and he's going to get bigger.
Now, look, the question you should be asking me is what other books are in there and what has he done to those other books? He rips them. So he enjoys in the middle of the night when he can't sleep. He knows he's not allowed to get out of his crib, so he entertains himself and he just rips them up. He has not done that yet, though. I just go in there, I get them out, and it's there.
Diana, did you write anything for this book? Is there anything where you?
She wrote a blurb for the book. It's promoting the book. I have her pegged for chapter 12 of the next book, just so we're clear.
Wait,
Nice.
And she had to pay for the book?
No, she didn't have to pay for the book.
I'm sure I did. Yeah. I'm sure I'm going to see some charge on my Apple Pay somewhere of just like, $23.99, Stu. Like, what?
I don't know if I misheard you, Stugotz. What do you think she wrote for your book?
A blurb.
Oh, okay. I thought you called it a blurb, and I wasn't sure whether you knew what
a
the
blurb.
Diana, what was
Joe Buck wrote one. Diana
But
Ricci.
my thought was too. Stu knows I work for the New York Times now. The Athletic was purchased by the Times. And my thought was, I know what he's doing. He's going to try to get me to use the relationships I have with the New York Times and try to see what magic I can make and create to get him on the bestseller list.
Yep.
That's what I think this is about. This isn't about genuine, thoughtfulness for me to have an enjoyable read or me to be part of this experience that he's doing. This is about Stu getting on the best sellers list.
I have to be honest with you. That never dawned on me. I had no idea The Athletic was owned by the New York Times until you sent me a link to your column, and I had to fire through a paywall and pay for it just to get to that column. But now you have me thinking. So I will call you after the show. We will discuss how you will go to your bosses at the New York Times to get this thing on the bestseller list, which I think it already is.
Well, Diana, help us with this. Would you please do a commercial right now, if you don't mind? Just read your blurb to the camera. Today is the big official selling of the book, so help us sell the book. Read your blurb, do a little commercial for the Stugotz book, which is available in bookstores now, beginning to get today. It is a real thing. It exists. It is one of the great achievements in the history of modern media, not just sports media, modern media.
I got to tell you, I didn't even know what the book was about until I just opened this up. This is great. This has been sitting in my... You really wrote a book. I thought this was just about dumb stuff. You have really good things in here. Yeah. I like this line. He even invites some of the biggest names in sports media, such as Scott Van Pelt and Mina Kimes, to offer their rebuttals. Mm-hmm. Forgot about me, maybe?
Yeah, no, I told you, next book, chapter 11. And then just,
Maybe could have
Chapter 11, bankruptcy.
Everyone who feels left out because I didn't ask them to write in this book, I promise you, there's a next one.
Diana, that's not much of a commercial. Can you give me the commercial? Read your blurb on the back. Is your blurb on the back?
Oh my gosh, it is! It is on the back. I just noticed that. Okay. Everyone, go out. This is the perfect holiday gift to give your family members, the biggest sports fan in your life. It'll keep you entertained. And I can tell you from personal experience, reading this book at least 5 times by now, that it's like going on a lazy river of Stugotz's mind. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but I didn't want the ride to end. Go out, purchase Stugotz's new book.
Thank you.
Chicken
What?
Hey, enough of the chicken. Enough of these chickens.
Afraid of the weekly fantasy contest. Long blurb.
The weekly fantasy contest. You called him a chicken. You called Tommy Cutlets a chicken, and it reminded me of the scarring yesterday of Mike and Billy bullying me into that damn listener league by calling me a chicken. Diana, Lane Johnson, and I don't want to obsess about the Eagles here, but when I see the stats on Lane Johnson in terms of never has a holding penalty, never allows a sack, and is just a beast who at one point had a steroid problem that needed a babysitter because he's a violent person who I wouldn't want to be blocked by. Is he Trent Williams for the Eagles? Is he exact? Because Trent Williams, everyone says that he is the best lineman in the league, but the stats I see on Lane Johnson are nobody ever gets near the quarterback around him.
Yeah, I think it's okay for them to be their own, to be individual. To compare them is also fair because you're right in terms of what they're able to do for their team and how they're able to protect their quarterback and the offense that he's been able to really handle over the last year, which we've seen some bumps. And I think that's where you got to give Lane Johnson a lot of credit here with all the different quarterbacks he's had to protect. And now you look at what Trent Williams is doing, and he's still consistently the best in football. But if we're going to debate this and argue it, Lane Johnson needs to be in the conversation as one of the best left tackles in football, without a doubt.
Diana, the Jets found a way to lose the bye week, it would seem, and there seemed to be some residual stories that sprouted out of this story that came out earlier in the week about Woody Johnson saying perhaps at one point in the season arguing to bench Aaron Rodgers. What's going on out there? How does this story end?
Yeah, let's go backwards a little bit. So remember, they play the Denver Broncos end of September. It's that rainy day at MetLife Field. And Bo Nix stinks too. He's got like 60 yards passing, but Aaron Rodgers isn't that great either. And everyone panics after that game, right? They lose to a rookie quarterback at home. What are we going to do? So the next day is essentially the meeting of the minds. Every important person with the New York Jets organization, including the coaching staff, met with ownership, and they sat and they just each individually had to go and explain to the room what they are doing to improve this team, how their units are going to get better over the next few weeks. And Woody Johnson has a tendency to blurt out ideas and things that are often read as suggestions, as things that he wants the team under him to do. So he said, well, we should bench Aaron Rodgers. Now, people in that room that are close to Woody Johnson have shared that he was saying that in jest. Bench Aaron Rodgers to get a reaction out of the room. The coaching staff took that seriously as the owner of the Jets wants us to bench the guy that we moved mountains for to make happy and to get here in New York. So at the time, the head coach was Robert Saleh. The GM was Joe Douglas. Nathaniel Hackett was the offensive coordinator at the time. And they essentially were able to have a conversation with Woody to say, this is not what we're going to do. This isn't right. One coach even laughed and questioned, is he being serious right now? So after that, Robert Saleh got fired a week later. From what I understand, one had nothing to do with the other. It's not like Woody fired Robert Saleh because he did not listen to that suggestion the week prior. But now here we are. They're coming off the bye. Obviously, Joe Douglas is out. Robert Saleh is out. Interim head coach Jeff Ulbrich spoke to the media yesterday, and he said that Aaron Rodgers is going to start against the Seattle Seahawks this weekend at MetLife Stadium. But there's a lot of conversations being had right now around the league about what the Jets are going to do in regards to Aaron Rodgers. There's some people who think that because he's dealing with some injuries that aren't all out there, he's pretty banged up, like a lot of people are this time of year. Is there an option to put him on IR? Is there an option to just sit him?
Diana, hold on a second. Wasn't there a report that he refused to do anything with scans? Like this seemed like some convenient leaking all of a sudden as we're talking about benching him. Now he's all banged up with an assortment of injuries that he refuses to get scanned on.
To your point, Diana, who gets away with just saying no to scans? And also, like Dan said, that's awfully convenient. There's this narrative of him being hurt, but there's also no proof of him being hurt.
Yeah, I had heard all season that he was banged up. Everyone was telling me about this. But you're right. Nothing has been formal or on the injury report or even spoken about from the New York Jets about what Rodgers has been dealing with. And look, I look at it as a bit like when you're going through a breakup, it's a little bit of a chase of who's going to get there first to say that I want it out first. That's the way it feels to me at this point, because I think the Jets are ready to move on from this chapter. I think Aaron Rodgers is ready to move on from this chapter. He wants to keep playing. I just don't believe that Aaron Rodgers wants to play for the New York Jets. And the New York Jets are now in a position where they're hiring, former GM Mike Tannenbaum to come in to, they're essentially going in the past to improve their future here. And they're going to try to figure out.
That part's funny. To get Rick Spielman and Tannenbaum.
Tannenbaum to hire Rex Ryan.
The two failed Dolphin guys.
No,
they
should
hire Rex Ryan.
Dan, you'll love this because you get annoyed with me about this stuff as well. So I write a Saturday morning column that you guys always read every morning. Thank you so much for all the feedback on it.
Every Saturday, not every morning. It's not every morning.
Yeah.
I wish it were every morning.
Oh, I have no time for that. I do write a newsletter every morning. You should subscribe to it. It's for free. It just gives you everything you need to know around the league. But Saturday morning, I write a What I'm Hearing column at The Athletic. It publishes around 10 a.m. And this past week, I wrote about Rex Ryan's very public campaign to be the next head coach of the Jets, which good for him. He knows where the bodies are buried. This is somebody who believes in what he can do. He knows what this team needs. But I looked at it as somebody that has watched his organization for the last 20 years, never seemed to have the answer. And I suggested if you're going to go back and retread, get Eric Mangini. The guy drafted Hall of Famers, Darrelle Revis, DeBerkshire Ferguson. Like there's so many players that he was able to find. I know we laugh at that, like, man, genius error. But when you look back at it, a lot of the success the Jets had with Rex Ryan came from the building blocks of what Eric Mangini was doing back then. So I make this suggestion. Well. Headline, Fox yesterday. Eric Mangini, candidate, New York Jets. And he's on the show and they're asking him, do you want to be the head coach of the New York Jets? And you see it in his face like, I mean, what? Yeah, but what? And he actually had a great reaction live on the air. He was like, of course, because the way it works in the coaching cycle, when you buy a house, you get fired. When you sell a house, you get hired. And he had just sold his house in New Jersey that he bought when he was the head coach of the Jets. That's how bad the market has been. He finally was able to get it sold. So it was a great lesson of just people don't read. People read what they want to read. And I do think the Jets, unfortunately, have been such a circus of dysfunction that I could have said Bob the Builder was going to be the highest recommendation coming out of Mike Tannenbaum's mouth, and people would debate if Bob the Builder could do a better job.
Diana, you should float out there in a newsletter or in one of your columns that Adam Gase is interested.
Please do
and
it.
see
Yeah,
if that
please
gets
do it.
any traction, because
So
he's still
people
available.
when Tannenbaum got hired, I started to see some of that. And Billy, you're the perfect person to talk to about getting misrepresented in the spicy clips
Thank you.
that our shows like to do. I know what they did to you. It's dirty.
Terrible.
And
A
you know
crime.
what is? I'm asking you guys, what is the answer? Right? Credibility is my currency. It is all I have. So if I get
Same, by the way.
misquoted, misrepresented because somebody else didn't read it the right way, do you respond? Do you just put out your article? Like, I don't know what the right thing to do.
I try to be
especially-
the bigger person, Diana.
which is
I just let it go. You
Yeah.
know, I let my reputation speak for itself, and then everyone else will figure it out.
Yes. Let the
know.
work speak for itself. That's it. You don't
God
have to
bless
answer.
football,
Yeah.
the award-winning
Right.
God
you guys
bless
did it to
football.
me too, though. You did it to
What do
me
you mean?
I
two weeks
fought
ago.
them on it.
Remember we talked about Daniel Jones, and I said this was before the players came back in the building. I said, look, there are some hard conversations being had right now about possibly sticking with him, which was the truth, right? All I said was it was being discussed, that it was an option.
We clipped you.
Right?
Our social
You
media people,
clipped
they're
me.
assassins. They
You-
traffic.
We
They
clipped
did.
you
They
took me
clipped
out
you.
by the knees.
Yes, that's right.
Oh,
Total
I see the
yes.
comments.
Assholes.
Bro,
Yes.
Rossini went on Levitard
Yes.
saying Daniel
That's right.
Jones is
That's
going to
right.
start.
That's right.
Hate you guys.
Assholes. Social media assholes. Thank you, Diana. Good seeing you. Oh, I'm sorry. Billy's got something else.
Yeah, Dana, why is Mike Vrabel still out there? Is he just kind of waiting for the offseason? Is no one reaching out to him? Because, like, everyone mentions his name every time there's a firing, but it doesn't seem to be getting any traction yet.
Because most teams they want to wait for the season to end. No team is just going like let's say just for this example, the Jets get rid of Jeff Ulbrich. They're not going to fire an interim head coach to bring him on. They kind of want to wait for this thing to wrap up. And remember, he's a consultant for the Cleveland Browns, so teams have to go through that process of putting in a request for him during the playoffs, like we see every season, or at least in January. Excuse me. So yeah, he's going to be. I will be shocked if he doesn't interview for at least 3 teams.
Diana, how many teams, if Aaron Rodgers wants to continue to play next season but doesn't want to play for the Jets, how many teams would be interested in Aaron Rodgers?
I'm actually currently writing about that today for the weekend. I think this is one of those scenarios where first Aaron's got to figure out what he wants to do here and really take a look at himself and his age and his injury situation. The reason why I also strongly believe Aaron Rodgers doesn't want to stop playing is he does not want this.
Yeah, why would you? This can't be the way that it
Gigantic
ends.
blemish.
This is
Right.
one of the great quarterbacks of all time.
He chose this, though.
No, I
mean,
understand, but you would also understand why he wouldn't want this as the ending. Like,
He chose it, but he's also looking at the scenario and going through these experiences like, what? Like, he can't believe the stuff that he's experiencing and seeing and the decisions being made. He's never dealt with something like this in terms of ownership down. So I think he's going to want to at least give himself one more season to just see if he's got something left in the tank to give an organization that's run really well.
Diana, thank you for being on with us. She's the senior NFL insider for The Athletic. She's the host of the very popular Scoop City, and she is a blurb writer for Stugotz's personal record book.
I did say it. Like
I know
that.
you did. I would urge the audience here on this day of magnificent self-promotion, beyond making Stugotz's personal record book even more a success than it already is. The Greg Cody Show featuring Greg Cody is a podcast that is climbing high on the list of podcasts in sports because it's a relationship show where Chris is too hard on his old man, and his old man is lovable beyond all reason. Greg Cody, go outside and reward yourself with a sponsored drum solo we're about to do with you. You are the winner of today's Victory Lap.
Wow.
Brought to you by Peloton. You get to go into the other room and tell us how right you were about something and exercise your right to be right.
Great.
So get to the Victory Lap room. There you go.
Greg's prize is exercising.
Exercising and a drum solo. The floor is his on something that he was right about. He gets to do a Victory Lap and gets the entire show. It's a giant platform, Stugotz. As much as you've used it to get a bestseller today, he gets a drum solo on a giant platform where he gets to tell the world how right he was.
And he gets to use the Peloton app, which is great. Oh, God, I wish if I could get punished and have to go out there instead of the penalty box, I get to do like a 5-minute core class every day. A dream. I'd misbehave.
I'm all for you doing takes while doing a 5-minute core class if you wish to do that.
I tried one time when I was doing Guillermoton to like do a what is it like on Twitter Live or whatever? What's it called? Twitter Spaces or something like that. I tried to do one of those on one of my like initial Guillermotons where I was like talking to like everybody that joined and was doing the class. I'm like, hey, join Twitter Spaces. We'll just talk through this class together, right? And I don't know how the trainers do it on Peloton, to be honest. It's very hard to talk while you're doing it. Thankfully, and this is going to sound weird, thankfully I had someone bail me out and join the Twitter Spaces and just have a conversation with me. And granted, it was a selfish move on his part because it benefited him, but it was Mark Feldman. So me and Mark Feldman hosted a Peloton ride together one time because I couldn't talk while I was doing exercise. So no thank you on the whole host a class.
Feldman in sales, is he another one of these Feldman in sales people who wants to be on air and wants to be a star, wants to get in the middle?
Unknown, but I could see him.
Yeah, he seems to be that kind of guy.
Yeah, once he gets the taste.
Right.
Yeah.
Got all the accounts. I mean,
Bit
sell himself.
Bit of a ham. Reminds me a lot of Stugotz. That's not a compliment. The sales Stugotz.
Thanks,
Stugotz from another time. Is Greg Cody in position back there? Before we get to Greg Cody's Victory Lap, though, I want him to work up a lather. I keep telling him it's funny because you're winded.
He's already doing it, and I don't know how much longer we have.
All right. Well, just
cows chasing him.
In general, you're saying?
Yes. Before we get to the last moments of Greg Cody's life, let's play the useless sound montage and get him into position here because I need him a little bit winded, a little bit tired when we go out to his Victory Lap sponsored by Peloton. Useless sound montage, please.
All right. I thought we were going to another bit, so we are just... All right, and here it is, the useless sound montage.
There it is.
I love my brother, and I'd lay down my life for my brother, but I would not let him win a football game.
Once those guys cross the white lines, there's nothing I can do for them. There's nothing any coach can do for them once they cross the white line.
It was a hard-fought game. They make more plays over the course of 60 minutes than we did.
I wear sweatpants every day.
One play at a time. One play at a time. And that is so important. And we exemplified that. That it's one play at a time. We stick together, we fight for each other, and we found a way.
You know, credit Vegas, they came out and had some fire about them, but they lost.
Had to overcome a lot in all three phases. You know, it was a back-and-forth game. That's what these games are on the road in the division. That's a really good football team. And I thought that our guys did a good job of not flinching and keeping the blinders out.
I haven't done a 23andMe, but I don't know.
Had a good week of practice, you know, did a lot of work, and obviously it didn't show. So, no excuses.
Penalty set us back and kind of put us behind the 8 ball. And we just can't do that, you know, in this league.
I thought he played his tail off, man. He throws a really good football. You know, it's funny. I think Texas Tech was the first one to offer him when he was in 8th grade.
We fought all the way to the end, and that's definitely encouraging. You don't want to be around people that are quitting.
Defense, special teams, everybody. We had our moments of adversity, and we were able to, you know, come through when it mattered.
So it was a complete team win, very resilient from our guys. But you just never lost that, you know, edge. We never lost the faith on the sideline, and always kind of, you know, figured we were going to find a way to win, and that's just what marks a good team.
If you can win on the road, you're normally a pretty damn good team, and we can win on the road.
We just got to operate better. I have to do a better job
I think he continues to improve and gets better and better. It seems like every week. And I think it all starts with his approach. And the guy loves football, and he will compete, and he does it every day.
There's humbling nights like this in football. It's all about how you respond. I do know that this team has the capability to be able to respond, and we'll get ourselves off the mat, and we'll have a good week of preparation this week.
I figured you guys would be nicer to me if my daughter was here.
We had to beat the pressure, and a year ago we don't win that game. And so, it wasn't our best, but it was good enough.
I thought he played well. Obviously, he took care of the football, but I thought he battled like crazy throughout the whole game.
It was a whole paradigm shift. Like, we were playing so well offensively, and then bang, bang, back-to-back drives with turnovers, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, this is really an NFL's film moment. The snow starts pouring down. It starts getting, like, I felt like my feet started getting heavy because I'm squishing through the snow. And, man, it was so good, and it was so great to end up getting that win.
Look at the smile that just sweeps across Mike Ryan's face. His dead Browns fandom, his killed by Deshaun Watson. Jameis Winston brings Mike back to life. Can't help but smile when Jameis Winston is talking. Greg Cody is now joining us from the Peloton-sponsored Victory Lap Room. Greg Cody, give us an update on everything that's going and what it is that you're celebrating that you got right most recently.
Yeah, I'm working out with Peloton right now. I'm somehow in the middle of all these cattle. I got to move a little quicker. I don't know what's going on here, but Peloton helps me. And,
oh, come on.
I tell you what, I'm taking a victory lap for saying that the Houston Texans are very, 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 very far from being a great team. I tell you what, nobody's been righter than me. C.J. Stroud, a little bit of a sophomore slump. Team starts 5-1. Everybody says, you're the it team. You're the new Detroit. Then they go 2-4, take a big giant crap. Look, I was right. I hate to brag. A lot of these cattle, they're catching up with me. I gotta move.
No!
Back to the mojo.
All right, listen. I'm going to take you guys behind the scenes here because Chris Cody saw it. Listen. I'm going to take you behind
the scenes.
Move.
Listen. Look, I stirred your father. Your father fell asleep like 30 minutes ago. He was staring at his numbers on his podcast.
Help.
And Chris Cody comes into the room, and both of us jostle him to life. Hey, this is a sponsored segment. We need your effort here. We need you to pay attention. So he was just totally self-involved. Like we were interrupting him. He was just thinking about himself. Hey, we're doing a show. We need you to go in there and give us your best stuff. And that's what he gave us. That, after the motivational speech by me and his son, what he gave us is 2 I gotta move it jokes.
And know that kind of things. That's the only upset, though. And that victory lap is presented by Peloton. Find your push. Find your power with Peloton.
I don't know enough about football because it's on my screen right now. Has C.J. Stroud regressed?
He has. Yeah.
I just don't know enough about football to tell you, hey, all those guys sacking you all the time, that going to change the rhythms of how you do your job? The fact that everyone keeps sacking you at what appears to be like a record pace, will that affect how good you are in year 2? Because it seems like it would. Anybody want to analyze that, or is he just regressed? He just forgot how to play football. Yeah?
I think the thing that's concerning for C.J. Stroud are the interceptions.
Do you see what they're doing for a living?
Yeah.
These giant people are coming and harassing him. They are bothering him. It's hard to play the position. Not many people can do it well. I'm asking the question. I legitimately, because the Texans are in and out of the red zone, I'm legitimately asking the question. I don't know. It is possible that people are studying the Texans a lot more than me, and they will tell you, yes, C.J. Stroud regressed. I say, is it tied to the fact that he keeps getting sacked? Because it seems like that would make anybody regress.
But when you start your career as a rookie and you're 23 touchdowns and 5 interceptions and you're making the game look relatively easy, Dan, that's the bar he set for himself. And now he has 9 interceptions through half the season. Last year he had 5 total. So you want to say it's the offensive line, people sacking him. The excuse 3 weeks ago was Nico Collins was hurt.
He could be holding the ball too long. That could be it too. It could be his fault.
Yeah, I think the most concerning game for me was one of his better games. It was against Detroit on Sunday night, where protection kind of held up, and some of his interceptions were essentially the DBs baiting him into throwing these interceptions, where for whatever reason he doesn't put that much zip on it, and he relies more on touch. Greg, you're breathing pretty heavily. Are you all right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Peloton workout
Yeah.
is working for me. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you what, you know, it really, they got me going, and it needed to with those cattle. I don't know where those came from, but I'm lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question to ask if he's regressed. Now, it could be true, like he could have regressed a little bit, and the great ones figure it out after the NFL kind of figures you out.
I love.
CJ needs to move around the pocket a little bit more. You know, that's what he needs to do.
Bulldoze through that joke, man.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Yeah. You okay?
Your father before the show, Chris.
I always work out in a necktie and a button-down shirt. So.
Necktie?
That kind of thing.
Where's that?
I took it off because I was getting so winded.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
You were not wearing a necktie today.
I thought I was. I was wearing my invisible necktie.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Could I forget?
Bolo?
Zagak.
This is his A material. This is after me and his son stirred him to life. Stopped, he was counting his clicks, and we stirred him to life and said, "Look, Greg, we really need you right now. We need you to bring it. The team needs you." And this is what he's giving us: his invisible necktie. That
I think
he
this is what
works
they
out
call the runner's high, Dan. That he's got
It
going
is,
on
Billy.
right now. Yeah.
Billy gets it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so I want to talk about this because I don't think that he was afflicted with the runner's high in the conversation that I had with him before the show. This is something I have done. In many ways, I've become my father. You will see Chris Cody become his father. And throughout my childhood, I saw my father sort of get in a wrestling posture stance with my grandfather and his brothers. And that's what I saw. Like, these people were 80 years old, and my father would jostle them and grab their elbows. So when I see Greg Cody, because I'm doing things that my father does, I squared off against him when I saw him this morning by way of hello, like in a Greco-Roman style grappling stance. And what he said to me, and I believe him, thick from 12 beers a day for many years, he says, "I'm stronger than you think I am. I'm tough to get off my feet." That if you and I were actually wrestling, he's saying that I couldn't get him off his feet.
Great foundation.
Well, sturdy again from Miller Lite thickness. He has been sustaining himself with a diet of Miller Lite for a long time, and now he is just strong. He is uncommonly strong. I don't think that he has any stamina, though. Chris Cody says you're not strong. Chris Cody disputes. What that sound was the sound of dispute.
I mean,
wow.
I mean, you're 70 years old. Like,
I'm strong for my age.
That's right.
With that caveat, I don't know. I don't know the strength of
No,
a lot of
I got a
70-year-olds.
tough foundation. I'm tough. I'm difficult to move.
Okay, that's 4.
That was good. I mean.
That one was all right. That one was all right, but you need the first 3 to make that one work. Like, you got to fall in the ditch 3 straight times for the 4th one to work.
So close to a golden sombrero there.
You all right?
Yeah.
I believe he's strong. I believe your father is a strong person. I'm not going to say for any age, but I would say that he is hard to get off his feet. Do you think I could get him off of his feet?
Yes.
If you lifted me and body slammed me,
Well, I don't think you'd
maybe.
allow me to until I tired you out by making you do the Peloton read.
I'm not certain Dan could lift you, to be honest.
I am here for you two wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know how we ended up here, but I
mean,
love
there's
it.
only one way to find out, I guess.
I
There's
agree.
plenty of room back there.
I agree. That's what I was thinking of. Like, do you think that I could get him off of his feet?
This is not one of those.
I don't know if
fires
Christopher can.
This is not one of those Billy Gill fires that you start, man.
What do you mean? There was context. You missed it.
I don't think there's going to be any coming back from that.
Do you guys think Dan could lift Greg off the ground?
Yes.
And I know Greg is thick, man.
I'm satisfied with that answer. I don't need to play it out.
Guys, he's wilting away. He's like, what are you, like
What
180
does
pounds?
that mean? Why do you say that? He said that on my podcast the other day, and I'm like, wilting away. I weigh 7. I've gained 7 pounds in the last year. I wish I were wilting more than I am, for crying out loud. No, I'm wilting away. What do you mean when you say wilting away?
I think since the whole asthma thing, you've lost a good 30 pounds the last 3 or 4 years.
That's absolutely not true. I absolutely wish it were. I'm flirting with 2.
You were well over 2, like in my 20s.
I don't think so. No. I
This is an odd argument.
What are we arguing here exactly?
That he's wilting.
Well, Greg is saying he's getting fatter, and Chris is saying he's losing weight. And when did it become a bad thing to be Wilt? Wilt Chamberlain.
I'm wilting like Wilt. That's right. No.
What are you doing?
The stilt?
Exactly. No, you know what? I'll take a weigh-in. People should have to do weigh-ins in everyday life, you know? If I don't make weight, I'm not allowed to do the show this week.
Oh.
You know.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Right. Well, you still get paid.
Oh,
right?
that kind of thing.
Right.
Thank you.
Now that you've explained it
Thanks
that
for
way with
clearing it
that
up.
elaboration, yes.
Yeah.
Once you give us
Lit it
that
up
kind of thing, now we all understood.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we be doing weigh-ins in an
It was
event?
also helpful
Invisible
with the
necktie.
Let's hear him out.
Because it would encourage me, like, I happen to be right around 200 pounds, right? So when I get on my beautiful new digital scale, you know, I hold my breath. Is the number going to start with a 2? Is it going to start with a 1? You know,
I thought you thought that helped holding your breath.
Do you trust the digital scale?
I do.
I kind of
I
picture
don't.
you as a guy that's like, you know what? I'll check it at Publix. Yeah.
No, it weighs me down to 0.2 of a pound.
Wow.
And so I trust it because it's that specific. So when I get on the scale and it says 199.4, yeah,
You round down.
it's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's 199. But when I get on the scale and it says 201.2, it's like, you know.
Now I'll have 5 Miller Lights tonight. Instead
No,
of...
the whole Miller Lite thing is a joke. I do love Miller Lite. I'm going to tell you. I don't know who
Right.
the beer sponsor is of this show, but it should be Miller Lite.
It is.
It is.
famously.
Yeah,
Miller
right.
Lite.
Well done.
Kick, save, and
man.
abuse.
Right.
But the idea that
Hey,
I
he's
think,
trying to show that he loves it regardless.
I do love
saying
it.
he's
You
unbiased.
genuinely
Right.
not know that Miller Lite's
Great
been a
job.
legacy partner of ours for 15
No, I had
years.
no
Great
idea.
job, Greg.
That tells you my
We
endorsement is legit.
we stumbled into it. Like
Right.
it's an authentic endorsement from a journalist who is not paid for his endorsement.
Mike, you brought up the public scale. That is something I sprint past every single time because that is the most accurate scale on the planet.
Tells too much truth.
My
It
daughter.
does. I don't want it. I want nothing to do with that scale.
I think that's the best truth teller in all of South Florida. The most honest thing we have in South Florida, and it scares me. I do the same thing. I'll walk right past. I'll waddle,
I don't even look at it.
I'll waddle right past it. No, you tell too much truth.
My daughter, my 6-year-old's always like, Daddy, let's go do it. I'm like, nope, get away from that
I'd love
thing.
to ask somebody at Publix corporate like why they've kept those things,
know,
because you
it's
would have
so weird.
assumed that would have been something that had fallen by the
They
wayside.
got to be hard to move. They're giant. It's a really
That
inefficient
can't be the reason
scale.
why they still have them.
It's hard to move.
That is why it is. Publix is like, you know,
They
how long-
routinely switch things in aisles all the time.
That's
But
got to be the heaviest thing in Publix. You tell me there's a heavier thing in Publix to move. Give
Yeah.
me one thing in Publix heavier than that damn inefficient scale that's been haunting me since my childhood. That thing's been chasing me around South Florida since the 1970s. I was a fat kid. I worked at Publix. I was a bag boy. That thing haunted me. I was more scared of it than the managers.
I was 35 years old.
Greg, how do you weigh yourself? You and your digital scale. You take off your clothes, like underwear, socks. What are we doing?
I'm normally in my boxer shorts. That's the problem with the public scale. I can't strip down.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so
You could.
Shed some weight.
I mean,
Yeah.
Get arrested,
that'd be a
yeah.
bit of a scene. But you know what I do in public?
Visual.
I'm curious if anybody else does this. If somebody's getting on the scale, I have to see how much they weigh.
What?
it's a
Like,
toxic trait.
I'm
with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. At the my peripheral, I'm like, let's see.
That's why I won't get on it. It's the truth teller. It doesn't keep quiet about the truth. It tells the truth to everybody
do
there.
a fair amount of sizing up, and I'm like, oh, really? You think, oh.
Yeah,
And it's so big, it's so easy to read. I mean,
I know, and everybody wants to know. I'm watching a woman get on the scale. I'm like, all right, she's got to be 138.
You do? Okay.
Oh, wow.
I'm curious how much she actually weighs.
Over-unders.
Of your business.
Not in a judgy way, though.
It depends.
Yeah, it does depend.
Yeah.
I can be a little judgy. I hate to
Why
say
do
it.
you think I've avoided that thing? It's not numbers. All it spells out for me is the word shame, and everyone can see it. Everyone can hear it. The truth-telling green machine that can't be moved out of public. The shouting to everyone within distance. Hey, fat guy making me groan under his weight.
I'm like that on any scale. When I get on the scale at the doctor's office every time I go, you know, my standard joke is these shoes weigh 20 pounds each. Because
Right.
I want them to realize that I'm fully clothed.
Right.
I'm wearing heavy shoes. You know, take off 10, 15 pounds, you know.
The doctors judge a lot. They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No, I don't
Right.
either.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. Like act.
Right. I mean, I'm going there to get fixed, but
Mac Brown is out at North Carolina. He's just informed his team. He was apparently given the option, hey, step down and we'll fire you. He's going with the fired route. So Mac Brown has left North Carolina or been unceremoniously canned. We'll figure it out, but a nice job has opened up.
A nice job has opened up that should have gotten him fired when he gave up 52 at the half at home to James Madison. Right there on the spot.
He tried to quit, though.
He quit, after like week 2, he quit. He's like, I'm done. And they're like, no, Mac, no, not how it works.
That's part of the Mac Brown life cycle.
Yes.
I'll quit. No, I actually thought about it. Don't want to quit. You're going to have to fire me.
This has to be the final job, though, for Mac Brown, right?
Careful with that. Always be careful with that.
I'm just saying, Dan, he's 73 years old.
Always be careful with that.
Is he really? Yes.
Always be careful with that.
Okay.
Stugotz's book is climbing up the charts. He is counting all of his sales throughout the show. He's a little distracted. You will forgive him.
Why am I being careful with Mac Brown? I mean,
I'm just telling you that Mac Brown saying that that's his last job.
Right.
I would have said that maybe a couple of jobs ago.
What's he weigh, Mac Brown? Any idea?
That's a good question. I'll check it out. Hold on.
Thank you.
We are being joined. It fluctuates.
I'm going to say 210.
He's got it.
220.
What's his height? What's his height? Give me his height.
Is he wilting?
No, Mac
Taylor.
Brown has been living the good life for a long time, and Mac Brown's got a pretty substantive. I recognize the belly of success. I recognize it.
he is. He's 5'11". Let's play the guessing game that Greg likes to play. How much do you guys
No,
think
you
Mac
would
Brown
absolutely shame Mac Brown at a public scale. You would. I'm telling you, Mac Brown looks skinny. Mac Oberman's got this. The late Fred Hickman. I was always jealous of this. His television. They have the face that makes it look skinny, but then they got the pear-shaped bodies where you're like, oh, that person's a lot heavier than I thought they were.
Taylor tells me that he's a bit of a unit.
Taylor's our North Carolina correspondent. However, I was told at the last Flanagan's outing that this show needs less Taylor, so I could.
By the way, retroactively, this is Taylor's scoop. He texted me in the middle of it. He's like, "I'm hearing things."
You told me I couldn't say.
That's how he talks.
I'm
hearing things.
Mac Brown, I've seen a substantive belly. I don't mean to fat shame him. I'm just saying I don't think he's as skinny. I think of him as not as a skinny person, and it's because his face is skinny. Steve Healy's with us now. And Steve Healy, Stugotz, is going to help us get your book on the New York Times bestseller list. Unfortunately, the Times declined to make anyone available to explain how any of it works.
Mm-hmm.
We did pepper them, but Steve Healy...
I don't like the mystery around this whole thing. I mean, I'm just putting myself on it. That's
well,
what I'm doing.
it's
not how it works.
We reached out to James Patterson, John Grisham, and Stephen King, and they either declined comment or they said no dice. And so Steve Healy is what we've settled in on. Steve Healy's he's going to help us.
Nice. Yeah.
He's an Emmy-winning writer for Veep, The Office, and Letterman. He's appeared in an episode of 30 Rock, so he knows what funny things are. He's the co-creator of a new animated show called Common Side Effects. It's coming to Adult Swim and Max early next year, and he's the author of the award-winning book How I Became a Famous Novelist. So, Steve, thank you for joining us. How would you help Stugotz? He doesn't need very much help. He's sailing up the charts right now as we speak, but what little extra would you give him to goose this thing here?
Okay, first of all, congrats to you, Stugotz. I'm glad to be here. I thought I was coming on as a Mac Brown weight expert, but I guess we can pivot to book.
No, that's okay. Do you agree with me that he hides a bit of a gin belly?
Yeah, he's one of those guys who he looks like he weighs more than he actually does. I think. Some of it's just sort of air and
I have that.
Yeah. What do you think he weighs though? If you had to guess, what do you think?
212, somewhere around there.
Oh, that's a good guess. That's a good guess.
I was going to say 215.
I know, oddly precise. I don't know why, but.
How do we get on this bestseller list? And what is the New York Times bestseller list? How does it work?
Okay, well, that's a great question because they're deliberately strange about it. Nobody really knows. They don't really reveal their methods. They have a long explanation on their website where they say, they poll well-established vendors as well as emerging ones. We know that they don't count books that are sold at conventions. So Stugotz, if you're going to the Stugotz convention or whatever and selling books across the table,
great convention
not going to work.
Right, good. I'll cancel all conventions moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the problem for you is you got to sell them in actual bookstores. I think that's the only way the Times counts. And I think they kind of underweight Costco and places like that move a lot of books. But
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What? This doesn't account for the modern age. Stugotz isn't going to sell a bunch of books because people are walking into bookstores. He's selling them because people do it the new-fashioned way. Right. They order it online.
They're holding. I mean, they do measure online sales, but they sort of favor, I think, actual bookstores. Now, I don't know a lot about it. They hide their methods and won't reveal it, so I can't tell you that much insight. You can look at their website and find a bunch of mysterious, opaque language.
You okay?
But I have put together for what I think are your top 5 ways to sell.
Before you do that, Steve, we have an image up on the screen right now. What are you thinking? 240?
Yeah. I'm upping my estimate.
Yeah, 315.
Yeah.
Whoa, come on.
315.
270.
No, 350.
You're just saying numbers.
I think it's 245.
He's 5'11".
Look, I'm not. I don't
No
want
one's
to do this
5'11".
anymore. I don't. That's true. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is anyone 5'11"?
I'm actually 5'11".
No one's 5'11".
Not at 73.
You'd say you're 6 feet.
No, everyone
5'11".
says they're 6 feet.
You're 5'10", pal.
But you've got a top 5 list for us. Foolproof ways to game the New York Times bestseller list. Are we doing the 5? Are we doing outside looking in, or just the 5?
Let's start with the 5. We can do some outside looking in if I can come up with some after.
Okay, well, no, that's not the way outside looking in
supposed
works.
to do those first, but that's fine. Let's just get to the 5.
Oh, okay.
No, number 5.
Hey guys, your show.
Yeah.
Hey, number 5, I would say sell copies in bulk. You need to be selling copies to like the Stugotz Reading Club, the Stugotz fan group. A lot of conservative authors, they're selling like thousands at a time to big groups of people, and that moves the needle. I think the Times bestseller list kind of like tries to devalue that, but that's just a way to move a lot of units. And if you're not selling in bulk, I don't think you have much of a chance here.
I love moving units, but you're saying sell in bulk. So if I buy like 1,000 for myself, does that count? Or is it one per email address?
That's a great question. People have gotten busted doing that, trying to game the New York Times. Wouldn't recommend it. They're not so dumb that they're going to fall for that one.
All right, but Dan can do it though, right?
Again, like they're going to be watching that. It's going to be suspicious. It's going to set off the algo. I would say you got to move them one at a time. But look, if you have a mass mailing list, you can reach out to a bunch of people, buy them all at once. Nothing wrong with that. But you yourself, they're all going to the same address. They're going to be onto that.
Okay, good.
We've lost Mike Ryan. He's immersed in breaking news, and we've lost him.
So I found out that Mac Brown told reporters before the season that he lost 35 pounds during the offseason. I don't know if the image that we put up there was from last season or this season. So I'll still work my sources. Okay. Texting Charlie.
The man won a championship in the greatest college football game ever played. This is how we're remembering the end of his career. Number 4.
I think you guys owe him an apology. Okay, number 4, be about Donald Trump. The last, since 2016, a ton of books on the bestseller list have been about Donald Trump, insider accounts of Donald Trump's, how we ended up with Trump, books about sort of like the rise of fascism that scare everybody. So haven't read your book, Stugotz, but I'm hoping that there's a lot about contemporary politics, some insider stuff from Mar-a-Lago. Right now, Melania's on the bestseller list. How are we plugging into that demo?
Here's a quote from before the season. I'm feeling the best I have in 20 years.
Number 3.
For you.
Okay, B for old people. Like, young people are on TikTok. They're not reading books. If this is for kids, I mean, there is a kids bestseller list. You could go that way. Stugotz for the kids illustrated edition. But other than that, you need to be hitting like a 55-year-old woman who reads a lot of books in a year. And unfortunately for you, I don't think you're exactly positioned for that.
Don't hit a 55-year-old woman, Stugotz. Apparently, the photo that we threw up there, though, was from the James Madison game this season.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that changes everything. Yeah.
Wow, so the scoreboard at halftime was the second most embarrassing thing that game. Number 2.
You explain why everything's fucked. There's a lot of books on the bestseller list that are about why we're in the predicament we are, like what's going wrong with society. Don't know if you cover that, Stugotz. I don't think this is.
He does not. This is not shaping up great. He'll do well with 55-year-old men. You made it 55-year-old women, but it can be 55-year-old men, right?
Sadly, women read a lot more than men. I don't know if that'll sound like a shock to you guys, but women are cranking through books and men read like one book a year. So you're on an uphill battle if your target audience is men.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do women read a lot more than men? Yes or no? Number 1.
Well, you got to have a murder in there. Is there a murder in the book? Is it true crime on the book nonfiction? Every book on the fiction list has a murder in it. Basically, you're you're in trouble if you don't have a murder.
Wow. Okay. He's murdering nothing except for ethics and all of publishing.
I did murder Kevin Durant's career. I mean, so does that count?
Yeah, it should.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it. His book is called Common Side Effects. That's $5. It is, I'm sorry, that's not his book. That is the new show he's got coming out, Common Side Effects. It's Adult Swim and Max early next year.
That's $5.
I corrected myself. Stugotz.
I mean, you can see what's happened. I pivoted away from being a book writer to TV because there's no money here, man. You're in a tough racket.
Well, you didn't get the Random House guarantee on the front end that Stugotz did, sir. That's why we made him an author, just so that he could cash the check.
Listen, you need to get to Random House, okay? That is the key, all right? That's the key to writing books. Get to Random House, you got yourself a bestseller, all right?
They treated you right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you, they're printing money over there. They gave it to me. I mean,
there you go.
Printing money. Sounds illegal.
Steve, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure, guys. Good luck
Thank
to you, Stugotz, and good luck to Mac Brown on his weight loss journey.
Yeah, I don't love what we did to Mac Brown there. That is an accomplished career, and I did it. It's my fault. But it's just, look, man, I just noticed. I, too, have done the thing where I just put on sweatpants because it's all gotten out of control. And I'm just putting on whatever the school gives me. Whatever the school gives me is my wardrobe because it fits nice, and I can just go into work and I can hide and swim in my clothes. And the pandemic got a lot of us. And Mac Brown was skinny when he had Vince Young. And then when James Madison is scoring 52 by the half in your home stadium at the end of your career, comfort food, I get it. Understand how it is one would stress eat, as Steve just mentioned it. And Mac Brown not only won a championship at a school that when you do, you should be golden forever.
Yeah.
You become a monster icon because Texas thinks, at least in part because they have Mac Brown, like they're entitled to be atop the NIL game and on top of the SEC game because they got all the boosters. They got all the money. Like you think Texas A&M has money. Nobody's got money like that school, and they expect to be at the top of sports. And Mac Brown at the end got run out because his great seasons weren't great enough, and he ends his career in North Carolina with us making fun of him because we're talking about the way public scale's grown.
I think it's a terrific job, though, that just opened up. It's always
the
gonna
Carolina job.
It's always going to be a weird one because it's never going to be the most important sport to that school. However, people have no idea what a revenue generator that school is, what great resources they have. Everybody inside the ACC is envious of their situation because to other conferences, they're probably the most appealing program to bring over. So I think some really good coaches should be poking around that job.
Mike, in terms of generating revenue, you mean the other sports at Carolina. I agree. Like there are several popular sports at Carolina that aren't popular at other schools. Plus they have major boosters.
Carolina is a massive program, but they've never really gone all in on football. And if they ever do, that's a possible sleeping giant.
Guys, can you please get me the sound from the Manning cast of Vrabel talking about Urban Meyer not knowing who he was, and whatever sound is available to us on Owen Wilson and the stories being told everywhere about what Urban Meyer doesn't know. The Vrabel thing stunned me. I thought that was a joke. Like, it's one thing I've heard of it. Like Puka Nacua said the other day that he didn't know that the Rams were in the NFC West. I believe that that's something that happens, pretty frequently among athletes who don't care about, didn't grow up caring about the division. But I was shocked to learn that Urban Meyer doesn't remember famous people that he's worked with.
Well, so the Manning cast is this like a side cast for those who don't know. During Monday Night Football, where Peyton Manning, former quarterback, and Eli Manning, former quarterback, also related, not just a coincidence, they come on and they kind of do like a watch along of Monday Night Football. And during the Manning cast, they have famous guests come on, and it's usually Bill Belichick, and then they'll have like a celebrity of sorts, and then they'll have someone else come on. So they had Luke Wilson come on. Because Luke Wilson can't do anything without Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson came on, and he joined him, and they did, I guess, like a brother thing, and they did a movie together, and that's all they ever do together. So they came on the Manning cast. People who don't know what the Manning cast is,
Why
and
would you
Wilson's.
do that?
Luke Wilson is an actor, and Owen Wilson is an
thank
actor.
you. Let's play the
arguably
sound.
more famous
Let's
than
just
Luke.
play the sound
but that's
of Owen
attractive.
Wilson and Luke.
You
Thank
never see
Billy.
one without the other.
Thank you.
We
Yeah,
asked you to set
appreciate
this
it.
up to avoid confusion.
Well, I'm trying, yeah. So
I
then,
wanna hear more
anyways.
about what the Manning cast is.
Yeah,
What's cinephobe? Let's play the sound of Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson. Owen Wilson talking about Urban Meyer doesn't know anybody.
Video, you with Coach Meyer.
Owen.
Who are you?
Yeah.
How do I know you?
Yeah. I'm on your team.
So Owen
Do you
Wilson.
think Coach knows who you are now?
I still don't think he did.
That's a little like when Larry Bird went to Indiana and was dealing with Bobby Knight. They just didn't see eye to eye right from the get-go.
So Owen Wilson was in a celebrity, flag football game, and his coach was Urban Meyer. And then Urban Meyer, as you could hear, went up to him and he said, "Hey, how do I know you?" And then Owen Wilson said, "I'm on your team."
Put that up again, please, Mike Ryan, as our chief investigator in matters of people giving you phony baloney colors in their hairs. Mike Ryan has found.
You can throw up that quad box again from the Manning cast. I think we have an unprecedented 4 dye jobs all on one screen. Yep, I'm ready to call it. From the bottom on down, that is all hair dye.
Owen, you see.
Oh, yeah, definitely Owen.
I'm with you on all the other 3. I don't see it in Owen. But this is your thing.
Owen's hair is darker. That's not how that works at this age.
Yes, this is stunning accusation to make off of this video. He's saying Eli, Peyton, and both Wilson brothers are all dyeing their hair.
Wow, Eli's a little young to dye his hair, isn't he?
Nah.
Eli?
No?
He's the most obvious of the group.
Really?
Let's play the sound of Vrabel, though. This one caught me off guard. Even by the Urban Meyer's a bit of an airhead standard, this one caught me off guard.
You know, I can relate with Owen Wilson. I was listening earlier, and Urban Meyer asked him, "Do I know you?" And Urban Meyer was coaching the Titans. He was coaching the Jaguars, and he actually said the same thing to me. I said, "Yeah, I'm the head coach for the Titans, and I worked for you for 2 years."
What?
Are you kidding me?
That's insane.
That's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
Not very well like this guy, huh?
I mean, Vrabel wouldn't even tell that story if it hadn't been told first by Owen Wilson.